Hey there, welcome to the Flute 360 podcast. I'm Dr. Heidi K. Begay, and I'm a flutist, educator, coach, and podcaster. My God-given mission is to serve you. I am passionate about guiding you, the modern-day flutist, to discover your unique voice on and off the stage. The goal of this podcast is to help you thrive, both as an artist and as a musicpreneur. Go ahead and grab some espresso, your favorite notepad, and let's get to it. Today's episode 251 is titled, There is Clarity in Action with Andrea Fisher. Founded in Dallas, Texas in 1996, the Carolyn Nesbaum Music Company is renowned for its international service for flutists of all levels. The Carolyn Nesbaum Music Company is your premier resource for everything flute. Their selection of flutes, piccolos, low flutes, and head joints from dozens of makers is truly remarkable. Also, their offerings of sheet music, instrumental accessories, teaching, and health resources are unmatched. Their in-house staff offers an unparalleled level of expert knowledge and personal service with an in-house repair staff certified in all major brands. Follow the Carolyn Nesbaum Music Company through Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter to be updated with the latest news. Check out their website at fluteforyou.com. The Carolyn Nesbaum Music Company is truly your one-stop flute shop. Hi, Andrea.
Hi, Heidi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So these AirPods work.
Oh, nice. Yay.
I knew I had them for some reason. I rarely use them, but yeah, they're great for this.
Yeah. I love red on you. It's a great color.
Thank you. Well, I did it on purpose because it matches what we're going to talk about. So.
Yay. Excellent branding choice. Very smart. I love it. That's great. I feel like you and I have seen each other in passing through flute festivals. I've seen you whizzing down halls and things like that. And I feel so bad. I apologize. I've never been like, Andrea, hi, I love your work. But it's so great now. I get to be selfish and sit down with you one-on-one for 45 minutes uninterrupted.
I love it. We've never met. Are you serious? Like an NFA or any?
No.
Really? Wow. Yep. Well, nice to finally meet you. I mean, I guess I've just seen you online and with the podcast and everything that you're doing, which is amazing, by the way.
Oh, so, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And likewise, FluteView has a podcast. Have they started backup content? Did I see that right?
Well, I'm no longer technically with the FluteView. I don't know if you know that. I left in 2019 and Morgan Pappas took over my role. Mainly because I got too busy with the bags that I just didn't have the time that I felt that should have been devoted towards the magazine. But I know that we were doing a podcast years ago, but not sure what's happening now.
Yeah, fair. I resonate with that so much where you're like, well, I have to decide on, what to focus on. And your Fluter Scooter bag company is humongous. So, I mean, between Fluter Scooter and the FluteView and your own performing and teaching schedules, it can be a lot.
Oh, yeah. I was just in Croatia last week, and then I came back to Belgrade and did another event. So this week is like a bit of free time, which is lovely. I can spend more time at the gym and do my training sessions, which I'll get into that a bit. Do I see an animal?
Yes,
an animal behind your cat.
I've got 4 of them. I'm the official crazy cat lady. Yes.
Love it.
The last two really weren't my fault. They were pandemic kitties, and they came to my door, and they're like, I'm starving, and I had to let them in, and we were home all the time anyway. So it's like, what's two more?
Yeah. Just make sure they were wearing masks.
Yeah, right. Oh, that's funny. No, so where are you now? Serbia?
I'm in Belgrade. I've been living here basically since February 2021, which is more than 2 years now. But kind of off and on. I was in the States for a bit in the winter, just doing some shows and some college events. Mm-hmm. But I'm pretty much based here now, and that's a story that is also kind of a pandemic related thing. I came here because I was supposed to record a project that I've been always doing in LA. And, the states, especially California, just kept shutting down, pushing back things. Now, Serbia did not. So, I had never been to the Balkans, Eastern Europe before, ever. So I also have this series of meditation albums that I do. I don't really promote it in the flute world because it's not really like a flute. It's fluty. I mean, I play a ton of world flutes. I compose, I arrange, everything, and play keyboards. Everything is pretty much my own. I mean, we have singers and other musicians, guitar players and whatnot. So it's played in these meditation circles. So the person in charge of this project, we had to record, and he knew someone that was in Belgrade and knew an engineer, and he asked if I'd be open to come and do it here because nothing, we could have musicians come in and just do things normally here. And I'm like, yes, get me on a flight, get me out of this state. So, the project was supposed to last for a month, and it ended up it did last for a month, and I ended up just loving Serbia. And I'm just like, I'm not going to go back. And I networked with a lot of the flute players out here, and there's such a great flute community in Belgrade and in Serbia and in Eastern Europe. And, I love, being able to meet flute players that I normally wouldn't, and let them know about the Fluter Scooter bags, and they love them here. And it's amazing to have this new kind of audience. And I'm performing here and doing some teaching. I just did an entrepreneurship workshop while I was in Croatia last week too, which was great. So
that's amazing. Yeah, busy schedule.
Yeah. And I'll be in Italy next month for the 21st century flutist. It's a class for about 3 weeks. I'll be there for 2, and it goes through the Cal State Long Beach or Cal State Arts with Rena Urso. She's the coordinator of this class, so that'll be fun. And I'm doing some flute and organ there because everyone wants the flute and organ.
It's funny because when you brought up the red bag and said, "Oh, I'm matching with my bag," I went into like marketing branding mode with you for half a second. And, when we think of these amazing flutists like yourself and how you showcase your work and stuff, a few things come to mind when I think of Andrea Fisher: the Fluter Scooter bag, Flute View, and your love of deer, and your organ where you hold out the drone and the pedal, and then you play your flute on top. So see how influential, like reels and posts and how social media can really connect us, even though we are officially meeting now. I feel like I air quote know you because of the work that you're putting out there and just how present you are through social media.
Yeah, and I love that you had deer above the flute and organ because deer are so important to my my being, my existence. If I didn't have deer, they guide me. They're how people have spirit animals, animal guides. Deer have been that. And long-term goals for me is I want to open a deer park.
Really?
Yeah. Out here too. Yeah, but that's something like combining deer and music. So that's kind of the next thing for me, for Fluter Scooter, Andrea, or the next project. Because as entrepreneurs, yourself included, I think it's great to be doing something that's successful, but we're always looking for the new thing, the next thing. What's next, And that's kind of where I am right now. Of course, the bags right now are busier than ever. I have these school spirit bags. I have another project also that I'm going to talk about. But yeah, I think deer and music, both are very similar because they have the potential to heal. And I think right now, I love fashion. I love flute bags, but I feel like there's a bigger goal, a bigger calling, I guess, that I want to do. And it will be quite a large project and not like nothing I've ever done before, but I'm ready. So,
cool.
Expect that in the next few years. I mean, this is a huge undertaking. It's not just like making a bag. So,
yeah.
You have a lot of deer in Texas, don't you? I'm not sure where you are.
I'm in Dallas, so probably more like the ranch country area, I'm sure. I'm unaware of like where deer would inhabit Texas, just because I'm in the city, but you're probably right for sure. It would be wooded, forested areas, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But that's interesting, Andrea. I love what you said about like the next thing. I want to pick your brain about that because I actually have a coaching client right now, and I think a lot of Flute 360ers would resonate with this, where one of my clients, we've been working on having a better, I'm using this word very loosely, a better control, a better management of her performance anxiety. So we were working on that for a couple months, and now she's really got a better grasp on it. She knows what works for her, she knows what tools to use, etc. Now she's in this place of her career where she's like, what's next? What's the next thing? And as creatives, I think a lot of flutists would resonate with this. We have all of the ideas, right? We think, oh, I could do a deer music camp. I could open up a bag company. I could right? And all of the ideas are swirling around in our heads. And then perhaps sometimes we get overwhelmed because we're so creative that we want to do all the things. And actually, it kind of, unfortunately, sometimes can backfire because then we don't take the necessary steps towards a thing on that list. So since you are such a force in our community with putting out projects and monetizing and creating and bringing people together through your projects, when you are thinking in this season, okay, what is next? How do you choose, like from your long list of ideas, what to focus on? So that way, hopefully it gives the 360 or some ideas in their world.
Well, I have such a long list of projects, and I'm sure that's a common thing. And it's just like some of them sound really cool and some of them sound really kind of a stretch and some of them are easier, but what to focus on. We don't want to be like an octopus. We don't want 8 different arms in all these different directions and not devoting the focus and the energy and time onto maybe 1 or 2. And that was my issue in the beginning. I was kind of, when I had just started Fluter Scooter, I had other things I was doing and other ideas, and I just didn't have them harnessed, I guess. And I was like an octopus, and I just didn't, have the correct amount of energy spent on one or 2 things that really could be a success. So yeah, that long list of things. For me, I at this moment, I chose this deer park idea because, well, I think everyone as humanity, as humans, we all need healing. And I think that is like so paramount right now is that we all need to step away from, well, I know we're doing that podcast, but step away from technology sometimes and get back to our nature and connect to nature. And that's one thing we can do with animals, being out in nature, being outdoors. And maybe that's one thing the pandemic has taught us also is I was taking walks in nature like almost every day, and how disconnected we were from it. And that's kind of what this would be. And just the healing powers of these animals and what they've done for me, and how to combine that, of course, as a flutist, as a musician, to combine it with my art and to have something that people would enjoy. And I'm inspired by deer parks that I've been to all across the world. I don't think any of them have been done in a way that's like how I want to do it. So it would be an experience. Yeah. So more like a concert environment with these animals around. So, and for families, for anyone who wants to be around nature, it's for everyone, really.
No, I love that. And if you ever wanted to kind of bounce ideas off of each other, you probably have met my past teacher, Lisa Garner Santa, before, but she was in the works of putting together something similar, but with horses. So
Amazing.
so I don't know if that horse music camp ever came to fruition, but I know that was something in the works on the back end for her. So if you ever want to pick her brain about anything, I thought about your deer music camp and her horse music camp.
I would love that. Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah. That's amazing. So what I hear is, and I'm only geeking out and I want to like break it down just a little bit more so that way the 360 is like, oh, and they can make connections. Not only did you choose, okay, the deer music venue concert concept is what I want to focus my energy on because it really resonates with you, but also you're seeing a need for humanity being healed and having that connection. So you're feeling a gap. You're feeling a void in the industry where you're seeing something missing and you want to insert your project and that offering for others to enjoy it and for others to heal from it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's not just creating something just to create it. I mean, that's cool. And that for the sake of creation, why not? But from this business standpoint, like it's something you're passionate about. It's something that people need. And this is a possibility where you can acquire revenue, possibly, right? And it's something you're good at. So within those realms, then you're like, oh, bingo, this would suffice those 4 areas.
Yeah. And what's interesting is the market for this, though, would not be really flute players. Now, my network is like 98% flutists. As we know, with the bags, maybe other wind players, but with the everything I've done, it's primarily been flute players. Now, interesting story. During the pandemic, I learned about how to work with a network that isn't necessarily flute players. So you probably don't know this, but I sold masks, the KN95 masks during the first 3 or 4 months of the pandemic because at the time, this is like way back when no one could get them, like when the doctors and hospitals couldn't get them. So my the bag factory in China that produces all of the Fluter Scooter bags was like, I'm obviously not selling bags during that time. And they had asked me, we have access to these masks. Would you want to sell them? And I'm like, no way. I'm like, I'm not going to peddle those to my customers. It's tacky. And, so I didn't, but, then I was seeing the need for these things. Like any entrepreneur, you see a need, you want to fill that gap, So, I was seeing it on the news and whatnot. And I contacted them again and I'm like, listen, I think I'll give this a try. I sold 250,000 KN95 masks.
Wow.
Along with my brother and a partner of ours who kind of helped us get into the hospital network. So it was so fascinating because my phone was blowing up with doctors and like hospitals and nurses. Like there was one day in particular when one nurse I knew, and I know like probably 2 nurses, like total. So one put like a group WhatsApp and it went to hundreds of people. And all of a sudden my phone was like, can we get masks? Can we get masks? I'm a blah, 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 blah. I'm like, wow, okay. So, I mean, wow. I didn't sleep that like March, April, May, 2020, like when everyone was just like, I have nothing to do. I'm like hustling. hustling, because China, I had to be up with them, and which is, 12 hours. I was in the States at the time. And then talking to all of these people and being like, listen, I'm a flutist. I have a bag business. I know absolutely nothing about medical supplies. If you still want to, because I have to be, transparent about this. I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew that there was a need for these things and that I could get them. The only thing I had that was different than anyone else was a contact in China. That's really all people were paying me for, because they didn't want to deal with all of this. I was up at, they had their own problems. These were doctors, these were hospitals. So they had their own stuff to do. I just provided these, and I was so surprised how fast this moved. And I was like, I'm in the wrong business. I should be in the medical business, because it was just, it seemed so easy, but, then it was one of those things when, you couldn't get it. And now, obviously after that, you could get them at every drugstore, as many as you wanted. But during those 3 months, wow. That's So I guess that was a kind of tangent there, but just as an entrepreneur, knowing that you can have this ability to reach other markets that you may not know anything about. If you're given, I'm looking at a pair of scissors right now. I don't like, if you're given a pair of scissors and a pencil and you know nothing about selling pencils or selling scissors, you're going to find out how to do that if you need to. And if you want to, and if suddenly there's a shortage of scissors, or I'm just making this up but you know what I mean, right? Like, basically, just being able to say, well, I know nothing about this, but I'm going to succeed at this.
Wow.
I don't know how to make an animal park. I don't know the rules and regulations. I don't know what a deer needs for like a habitat. I need to research all of this. I need to, at least network with a few people that have a better understanding of deer. And I do know people in the States, but I'm planning to do this in Europe and maybe eventually the States, but we'll see. Yeah. But yeah, I know, I'll admit it. I know absolutely nothing about building an animal park, but I'm going to build a freaking animal park.
Nice. No, I love that. And what I hear is you learn as you go. You may not know all the answers up front, and that's okay. And just by you saying like, I don't know, but I'm going to build that deer music park. I'm going to do it. And you said something very important just for me to highlight. I'm going to network. I'm going to pick other people's brains who perhaps are in the industry or a similar industry, because they've been there. And haven't you found this to be true, that people are more willing to give of themselves and share knowledge and information with each other than perhaps you would have thought maybe when you first started off as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, it depends on who they are. Some people like to withhold information, but I have a lot of connections from. I was volunteering at a deer park, not a deer park, sorry, at a deer rescue place in South Carolina. Whenever I'm in the States, I try to go do that. So I've met people there, and I talk to people. I talk to the owners of these other deer parks. So I have all their information, and just because they know that I'm interested, you have to be very confident, and I think not have any self-doubt. And those are two big things. I want to, let anyone who's listening to this who might have an entrepreneurial idea, you can't be scared of going up to someone, even if it's like the owner of somewhere, and being like, hey, I'm Andrea. I want to build a deer park. I don't care. I've never cared like what people think of me as, just being very, I don't know. Maybe a lot of people wouldn't do that. They'd feel like, oh, they're going to think I'm weird, or they're going to say no, or they're going to ignore me. But, those are chances we have to take. And I've never had that fear of just walking up to someone and being like, hey, I like this idea. I'm doing this. Let's exchange information. I don't say it like that, but
right.
Just having that mindset of no self-doubt. And no, because I hear that all the time, and then from professionals, colleagues, peers of mine who do have ideas and they're like, well, I don't think it'll work. Or like, I'm just a middle school flute teacher, or, I don't know the proper people to contact. Well, if you put those ideas out, law of attraction, as we all know, that's what you're going to get back. No one's going to talk to you. Mm-hmm. So it's just about changing your thinking. And that's really what I'd like to also, teach people. If you think that it's not going to happen, it won't. And if you have 100,000% confidence in an idea, that'll be reflective in how you carry yourself when you're talking to some of these people that you need to network with. You can't just be like, I think I have this idea. The funny thing is I'm very confident with all of these things, but I'm actually quite an introvert.
Interesting.
And a lot of people don't realize that. And to all the other introverts out there, I'm totally an introvert. I'm just confident when I'm going about, what I'm doing for a living, because it's so important. Mm-hmm. And after I do these, connections, I'm tired. After I do these entrepreneurship lectures, I'm exhausted. I sleep for like 2 days. It's just, just part of the thing. So it's just, just offering some hope out there to people, that may seem like, well, I'm too introverted to do this. But yeah, guess what? Fluter Scooter is too.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. And hey, Flute 360er. Do you dream about connecting with like-minded flutists to make new contacts and friends for your personal and professional life? What about getting the clarity that you need for your flute career? Wherever you are in your flute journey, I can help support you through your musical goals and aspirations. Join us Saturday, June 24th, 2023, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central Time for personal and musical growth in a supporting community. By joining the Flute 360 Accelerator Program, you will start gaining the clarity that you need for your flute career in terms of finding and building the right opportunities for your portfolio career. Honestly, it can be quite frightening not knowing which direction to take your artistic career, but I can help. I've been there, and I know how bleak it can feel at times. But the minute you decide to invest in yourself and to pull the right people into your orbit for support, you will see blessings unfold for you and for your career. Guaranteed. I'm rooting for you. Click the link in the show notes below, and I'll see you soon. Please note that you can join at any time because it's an evergreen offering. See you soon. What I was going to say was I feel like we are cut from the same cloth, because I totally resonate with what you said of having that confidence and saying, hey, this is my idea, and just going up to people and just starting a conversation and starting to build that relationship from this really authentic place. That to me comes actually very natural and it's innate. I think it's a part of my personality. And when I encourage 360ers to like network, build those relationships, put your ideas out there, get the ball in motion. And even if that idea kind of falls flat and it doesn't go anywhere, at least you're throwing these ideas out there and you're going to see what is sticking and what is not sticking. And they're always like, yeah, Heidi, but you're an extrovert. It's easy for you. So to hear your perspective and say, no, I'm an introvert and you can still do these things. Thank you for sharing that, because I think they need to hear somebody from the opposite side.
Yeah, I think people usually just see me in this public perception of doing these types of things, and they don't know like what Fluter Scooter is like after. And I'm quite shy. I go to sleep very early. It's like 8 o'clock.
Nice.
Yeah, I have weird hours, but it energizes me. I do my best work first thing in the morning, like before 8 o'clock. And it's important to know when you're the most creative too. So I utilize that time. Everyone has those windows of time where they feel that, okay, I'm most creative now. I can think about these ideas at this time. It can be, 6 a.m. for me, and for others it can be different. But it's important to also know that.
That's a good point. I love that. And see, I'm the opposite. I am a massive night owl. That's when all the ideas come to me.
Yeah, because you're an extrovert. A lot of extroverts are more geared towards the night, and I think. But I just, because I'm so tired from doing everything, I just want to crash and then wake up, meditate, and I'm a big meditator too. I practice transcendental meditation. That has helped immensely. Just to center myself, to ground myself, to focus for the day, and to defocus at the end of the day, and to just kind of rest. So I'm a big believer in any kind of meditation. If you can find 10 minutes to just zone out.
Yeah, you can feel completely rejuvenated after that allotted time, for sure.
Yeah.
So I have an idea. I want to throw it out to you just because I've been hearing all of your great ideas. When you said that, when you were promoting the masks at the beginning of the pandemic, your phone was lighting up with all of these doctors and nurses. I wonder if there is some connection now where, because you're tapped into the medical field to some degree, where your Dear Music concert venue could benefit from that network. This idea of like healing and, the doctor's patients and things like that.
Yeah. Funny. That's, we are on the same wavelengths, because I've totally thought of that.
Yeah.
It's that's more related to this type of thing than my flute player network is, obviously.
Yeah.
So I have a huge list of emails and phone. I mean, it's massive, like for all the people that I've dealt with for the medical supplies and PPE. So leverage your network, leverage any network you have with an idea. And those for students who are listening, I always say to start out with just list 10 people that would come to a concert or support you in any way, whatever you're doing, that aren't your friends and family. And that's it could be people that follow you, that you communicate with on Instagram. That's fine too. But people who would pay to actually, take a lesson or go to a concert or buy one of your products that you may be selling, or your CD or album or whatever. So I think that's a good start, just to know, like, well, who is my network? And if you can't list 10 people, then you have some work to do. And, what I do say in a lot of my classes and lectures, when I started Fluter Scooter, this was in 2010, we had no social media at all. I think Facebook was just starting. So I had to really get, business cards and do face-to-face, trade shows and flute fairs, like all of them, to meet people. And it took much longer time back. And now it's just, we can do this much faster, but we also have to do it much more efficiently. We just can't say, oh, I have 10,000 followers, all of these people are going to buy my bags. No, not at all. I mean, those numbers don't really translate into sales. Hate to say it. You can have 100,000 followers. How many of those will actually support your brand? Some of them, but not as many as people think. The follower thing doesn't really translate, I've noticed, unless you really engage with them. They want to put a face to a name. They want to know you're an actual human and not a robot. So, as busy as I am, I do try to, I had to keep the relationships up with people that reach out to me and be like, I would love to help you out if you have a question about a bag, and I will get back to you right away. And, I want to know a little about these people too, because I like to inspire. I like to know what other flutists are doing. And a funny story in Croatia where I just was, and I meet these people who have that extra something, extra drive, extra I don't know what to call it. Just they want to make it happen. You can see that they want to make it happen, and especially the younger generation to really have that and to see that in a student. I will happily mentor someone who has that drive, and you can see doing something like this in the future, because I think it's also our job, and as you have a podcast like this, to inspire the next generation of flutists and musicians to be able to, be their own Fluter Scooter or Flute 360. But, obviously not that, but something, and or at least have the motivation to try something. So,
yeah. No, I love everything you said, Andrea. That's phenomenal. And when you started Fluter Scooter back in 2010, did you see yourself initially in this space? Or was it this beautiful blessing that kind of like not fell in your lap because you've had to do a lot of work, but was it something organic that came into your life and you're like, oh, I'm going to run with this? Or was it something that was really planned out strategically from day one?
There was no strategy whatsoever.
Okay.
But I think a lot of, most of my ideas, it's not really a clear strategy until I kind of see it.
I see.
I'm not the type that does the 1 year, 3 year, 5 year plans. I just kind of go with it and see where it takes me. And that's a little unconventional, I guess. But for me, it works. I love just the spontaneity of everything. And, the one thing I did want to talk about briefly is starting to do clarinet bags for, for Fluter Scooter, but it's going to be called Clara Scooter. And I already have a sales rep who is a clarinetist, and he has the first sample and he loves it. And you'll be seeing some more content soon on that. So, it's something that I've heard many students and other professionals ask, well, when are you going to make clarinet bags? Okay. Enough people ask me to do it that I'm going to be like, okay, I will do it. But it was never planned that Fluter Scooter would include clarinet. But what you were saying is Fluter Scooter, the bags kind of came by accident. I wanted a flute bag for myself, and that's all it was in the beginning. And I tell this story all the time. Is I had my own flute bag, which was a silver bag at the time with a red stitching, and a fashion designer had made it for me because I wanted one when I was going into these hip hop sessions in New York. And I wore it to the New York Flute Fair, and I got stopped literally on the street before even going to the venue by 3 high schoolers, and they were like in love with the bag and wanted it for themselves, and asked me where they could get it and where I got it. And I'm like, no, someone made it for me. And then they said, well, if you made these, we would buy it. And that was for me, that was the aha moment. That was the light bulb. And I immediately went into the flute fair and went up to the Flute World's booth and asked them. And I'm like, would you be interested in selling these if I had these made? And of course, they tell me all these things. Well, like, what's your minimum order quantity? What are your price points? And I'm like, I'll get that to you on Monday. And I had no idea. And I had no idea what they were saying. I'm like, yeah, smile and nod, sure. Yeah, I'll have that for you on Monday. Give me your card. You have to appear confident even when you're not. You can't, I couldn't be like, what's a price point? What do you mean? No, it's you have to always appear confident in every interaction you have. So, that's kind of how Fluter Scooter got started. But it took years, of work after that to kind of figure out these things like manufacturing, shipping, setting the pricing and dealer costs and all of those things. And a lot of trial and error and seeing what would work. And Yeah.
Wow. A lot of trial and error. Oh my goodness.
Oh, totally.
Did you learn about these business things? I mean, obviously you learned about these business nuggets as you went along, but at any point in your journey as like you were manufacturing them, selling them, whatever, did you stop and go, "Oh my gosh, I need like business mentoring, I need a coach, do you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
were there any resources or were you just like learning on the job?"
I was mostly learning on the job, and I had a business student friend who was kind of consulting me when I needed him to. Someone I had met in one of the hip hop sessions, because usually people bring their friends. It's kind of like a
Yeah.
big party. So, it's great for networking though, and especially being in New York City. And he was a business student at the time. He helped me do a business plan, but all the other things, I kind of learned as I went along.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, that's it was difficult at the time because there weren't like, I could go to any website and see online courses on all of this. And back then it was difficult. It wasn't as easy to just find mentors or find any resources.
Hmm.
We had to go to libraries and stuff.
Yeah.
Remember? Yeah.
With the old-fashioned card catalog and you pull it out and
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
more like
And
90s and earlier, but yeah, that's where my head went.
yeah. So I didn't have a lot of resources, and I think that was kind of the beauty of it, was just that I was
Mm,
teaching myself. And there's a lot to learn when you are self-taught on something, because it feels more, well, this is my thing, I made this,
mhm.
rather than someone told me to do this, someone told me I should try this, but
Mm,
this is all me.
that's amazing. Oh my goodness. Can you be my business coach?
Well,
No, that's amazing, and I'm so glad that came up in your story about learning as you go and things like that, because that's something else in 360 that I really highlighted. And I don't know if you know this, but like the whole 360ness is like everything's connected. So I really want to look at the flutist from these three angles of like the human, the artist, and the musicpreneur. Because if we're not taking care of ourselves, right, health wise, eating well, sleeping well, exercising, then how are we expected to play well? And if we
yeah,
can
yeah,
play well, right, but we can't provide for ourselves financially in this sustainable way, then
yeah,
that's a problem, right? And so that's why I bring
yeah.
up these music business things and get flutists to be forward thinking and be thinking businessly. Because we are a
Mm.
business as a musician, like we need to be treating our studios like a business and things like that. So the whole
Mhm.
point in that is you learn as you go, like we said earlier, and business almost feels a little backwards to our music training. What I tell 360ers a lot is like in the music training, it's like, okay, you take the analogy of building a plane. You get your tools, you get your metal scraps, you put it together, you learn, you get your pilot license, and then you fly the plane. But for me, and tell me if you resonate with this, but for me, being a businesswoman, it almost feels backwards. It almost feels like I'm building the plane as I go. Like the plane is taking off, it's in flight, and I am still hammering in chairs into into the
Yeah,
plane.
yeah,
And I don't
yeah,
know if you resonate with that. And I think when I talk about these business things with flutists, they feel a little gags like, oh, everything's not in place and I didn't cross all my T's and I didn't dot all my I's. And I'm like, no, no, no. It almost feels opposite backwards of your music
yeah.
training.
Listen, I'm flying my plane upside down right now. Like it's like
Yeah.
the wings are like,
Yeah.
spiraling, and it's like a
Yeah.
big roller coaster, but that's what makes it fun.
Yeah.
It's, well, yeah, as flutists, we want to, cross off all the T's, practice our exercises, do all this. Everything is methodical. We use method
Mm,
books. We use, it's, but this is not methodical. And I think many entrepreneurs will say that, we just learn as we go along. There's no real method to this. If something works, it works. And if it doesn't, move on, and move on to the next thing and try something else. Be open to anything. And that's important, to always have an open mind. And I kind of said that before, and just not have any doubt.
Yeah. No, I love that. So you have a special announcement to make. Did you already make it with the clarinet bag, or is it something else?
Yeah. Well, no, it was the clarinet bag. that was the clarinet bag. And I'm guessing by the time this airs, there will be some other things. Well, I'm reissuing a bag for the Galway Flute Festival for next month. So the Galway bag is coming back. That's kind of an announcement. The clarinet bags, that's a whole new market. Obviously the Deer Park music venue thing is that's more of a long-term thing. And again, that's going to be a crazy adventure. I can't wait to do this. And I know there are going to be lots of roadblocks and lots of questions and lots of confusion, again, because I know nothing about this. But I'm excited to learn about it. And that's something I love to do. I'm always inspired. I'm always learning. And, we're always students. We're always students in some aspect. But the other thing is, I have this bag here that you can see it matches my red and red. These school spirit bags, which are primarily for marching bands, although professional piccolo players are loving these too. So I guess they have universal appeal. But marching season is coming up. I just launched these along with my sales director, who's in Myrtle Beach. Her name's Jessica Peltier. She's helping with this project and is amazing. We are really ramping up to do a huge launch properly this fall, or this band camp season, which is upcoming. So we did kind of like a soft launch this past year, kind of towards the tail end of marching season. And some marching bands, pick sections and flute studios have got these already, but we anticipate a lot more. So
that's amazing. When I saw your piccolo bag of the white and the red, perhaps maybe the professionals are even kind of liking it, because it kind of also reminds me of like symbolically representing the colors of a flag.
Yeah, totally. And I have like 7 different color combinations, and they can be custom made as well. So any school colors, it can be.
Nice.
What were your school colors? Where did you?
Oh my gosh, Andrea. my graduation story is insane. For my undergrad, I attended 4 different schools. And
whoa, okay.
Yeah, and that was not planned. Speaking of watching the cards, fall as they did, that was not planned. And then master's and then DMA. So I've attended 6 schools. So the last one was Texas Tech. I'll choose that one because I can remember their school colors. And it was white, red, and black.
I knew that. I'm starting to memorize these. You could quiz me on like all these school colors, and I can tell you. Yeah, Texas Tech. Okay. We have a bag for your colors. We have a red, black, and white. So
nice. Oh, I can't wait to get one. And it's a really clever idea, because even I'm thinking Texas, like TCU, purple and white. And I can't imagine how awesome that would look as the piccolo players are coming onto the field or they're exiting, and it matches their uniforms. And
Yeah, we did that with Coastal Carolina in Myrtle Beach. Their whole pick section has the piccolo bags. So I went to a football game, get this, my first football game ever, back in I know, right? Back in the fall, and saw how awesome these looked when they were marching to the field. American football is a whole spectacle of things.
Yeah.
And to have, I know. So to have these on their back, matching their uniform, it was awesome to see this. And it really protects the instrument too. If it starts raining, they can just pop it in the bag. And so it has practical usage as well. And they're made from 50% recycled plastic. So doing something for the environment too.
Congrats.
So good all around.
That's amazing. And that's a lot of hard work. Kudos to you. That's a lot of hard work. And thank you for your contribution to our community in that way. And you're right. It's more than just a bag. And I see your brand and I see how you're helping people and how you are serving them in a very special way. And to me, it's mind blowing. So thank you.
Well, thank you. Thanks. And it's going to continue to evolve, and we'll see where this goes. And
nice. So I know we talked about a lot. I picked your brain on a lot of different entrepreneurial ideas. As we're wrapping up this conversation, is there any last nugget or gem that you want to highlight to the audience before we say our goodbyes?
These podcasts are too short. I could talk, we could talk. I feel like we could talk for hours.
For sure.
And we should after this. I'd love to pick your brain. I don't have a podcast, but I just love to chat with you more. But any closing thoughts? I think I've said a lot of it before. And, the most important thing is to be confident and not have self-doubt, to keep an open mind, and this applies to everything. And just, to take care of yourself, as you were saying, mentally, physically, all of those things, they all tie in to everything. So we want to make sure we're healthy in all ways. And I'm a big, we could have a whole different podcast on, my health stuff and what I do to stay on top of things. But anyway, no, I just, I think I said everything that I wanted to. And I probably talked a lot, and I'm glad that we were able to do this. And thank you, Heidi, for having me on this Flute 360. And I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, no, my pleasure. And you gave me a fantastic idea where then you said a whole nother talk could be just on your health and your health regimen and things like that. I wonder if each guest could have like a 3-part series where like part 1 is the health, and then the artistry, and then the entrepreneurial side. So
we could do 2 more. I could just do one. Well, actually the flute and organ relates to the health, because that's all core work, moving around the organ like that. And it's a very physical thing that I do with playing flute and organ. It's a totally different type of breathing, because I have no grounding on my feet. I'm literally, my grounding is on my butt, because as I'm moving around, I'm not moving on my feet. I don't have those hooks into the floor like that. So it's a totally different type of playing. And so, yeah.
Wow. That's really cool. I hadn't thought of that. That makes sense, though.
Yeah. But that's a great idea, because I think a lot of people would benefit from knowing these more like behind the scenes things that Fluter Scooter does to be able to do this, like mindfulness practices, meditation, my gym routine, all of what I eat, all of those fun things that people may not know. When I go to sleep, here's a fun fact. I don't keep lights on. I never have lights on. So when the sun is down, that's it.
Yep.
And when the sun is up, I'm up. I don't put lights on. That's really kind of weird, but
no, it's not weird at all. There must be a camera in the Big Gay house, because I literally said this about a month ago to my husband, and I said, like the way that the natural clock is for us as humans is the sun, and why would we not put everything away when the sun went down? Why would we not, come and start our work? You think of farmers and our ancestors and things like that. They were going with the sun, right? And so going out to the fields when the sun comes up and things like that. But anyways, I digress. It's not a weird thought. And I literally was talking about that probably a month ago about what if we really honored that schedule so that way we could be kinder to our bodies and to ourselves.
Absolutely. And that kind of goes back to what I was saying about how we need to reconnect with nature. I also do a tech detox very often, at least one day a week, nothing, like phone off, computer off.
Nice.
That's it. And I think that's important as well. even for a longer time. If I don't have, work lined up, if I have some free time, I'm just going to shut off.
Yeah.
And that's important as well. So.
That's amazing. Well, it was so nice to meet you, and you are always welcome back on Flute 360 anytime. And outside of the official podcast airing, I do want to connect with you because I think, the conversation can continue.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Andrea.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks, Heidi.
Thank you for listening to the Flute 360 podcast. Please subscribe, rate, and review through your favorite podcast app, such as Apple, Spotify, and iHeartRadio, among others. Thank you. Let's talk about Flute.